Hi, my name is Azra and I'm the founder and manager at One Stop Advice and Training Centre. One Stop Advice Centre was set up in 2012. Initially, we set up to support the community with debt advice, welfare benefits, housing, immigration law, employability. We then started supporting our community with parenting and mentoring support. We have a number of projects supporting our young people in the community, and we do ladies only fitness classes. We have been very fortunate to secure another project through the Heritage Lottery Fund. This is our fifth project, and we are presenting the Kashmiri heritage, the lost identity. The census triggered a feeling whether the Kashmiri community felt they were not being identified. And we set up on a journey to get the perception of our local community to find out whether they identify themselves as British Pakistani or British Kashmiri, and to establish what the differences and similarities are. This project is particularly close to my heart as I originate from Kashmir, and I'm looking forward to embark on this journey.
My name is Maliha and I'm the project coordinator for the Kashmiri Heritage Project, funded by the National Heritage Lottery Fund. The aim of this project was to explore the rich and diverse Kashmiri and to be able to identify it aside from India and Pakistan. As part of this project, we interviewed a number of successful people belonging to the region of Kashmir who came together to share their stories. We wanted to capture how the Kashmiri community has developed over a period of time by looking specifically at their cultural identity, education development, and career progression, whilst coming from somewhat humble backgrounds. We wanted to therefore explore how this community now identifies itself, and so we did this by exploring the contributions they have made to society. Well, we concluded by asking our guests whether they felt that they were adequately represented in England. Now, on behalf of the One Stop Advice and Training Centre, I would like to say a big thank you to all the volunteers, to all the interviewees, and also everyone who came together as part of this project. I would also like to say a big thank you to the National Heritage Lottery Fund for making this happen. Thank you. Now we'll be showing you some of the people that we interviewed. I hope you enjoy them.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, your profession, educational background, family, and etc.
Yeah, I'm a law graduate. I practiced law for about 4 to 5 years. Then, however, my interest and passion has always been academics. So I went on to do my master's in applied linguistics and became a lecturer. And then I went overseas to Saudi Arabia for about 6 to 7 years, and I taught ESOL, which is English as a secondary language. And I became a academic advisor, proofreader and editor for master students. I also joined Toastmasters International whilst I was overseas, and in 2019 I won the district championship for being the best public speaker in Saudi Arabia. I'm married, I have 4 daughters, all of whom are studying. My husband and I are directors and proprietors of fish and chip shops in Luton, namely Luton Town Fish and Chips in Limbury and Pepper's Fish Bar in Dunstable.
Have you always lived in Luton?
Oh yes, I was born in Luton. Luton and Dunstable Hospital to be precise. I studied at all the local schools and colleges here. I even went to the University of Bedfordshire. I've lived here all my life, except that certain time, that 6 to 7 years that I went overseas to work. Like I said, I had the best experience of my life. It was lovely working overseas, but Luton is my home and I'm back now.
In your views, from the time you were growing up, how have the demographics of Luton changed?
Definitely demographics have changed. All I can remember is from the time I was growing up, Luton was a very male-orientated society, where the focus was mainly on the males to go to schools and colleges, to be the educators, to be the breadwinners, while the women were at home either cooking or learning to cook, learning to sew clothes and stuff. However, since then, Luton has become, has changed. I mean, there are so many women now that are doing the same thing, going out, working and educating themselves. And Luton itself has become so diverse that there's people from different nationalities, different countries, yeah, and faiths all living together in harmony.
What contributes as an individual have you made to society?
What contributes have I made? Well, all I can say is, in my household, I was the first person to break the stereotype of a male-orientated society. I was the first female in my household to go to university. I was the first female to go overseas and work. I was the first female to drive. So I personally believe that I paved the way for all the girls in my community and in my family to go out and achieve their dreams. So now there are plenty of girls that are educated in my family.
Do you identify as Kashmiri or Pakistani?
Definitely, I identify myself as a Kashmiri. My parents originated from Kotli Azad, Kashmir. I'm proud to be part of Pakistan and not India, to be honest, with all of the torture and everything that's going on with the Kashmiri people from the Indian side. I mean, I'm not going to go into that now yet, but all I would like to say is that I'm proud that I'm part of Pakistan and not India at this moment. However, and having said that, I would also like to say that I would like to have my own independent state. I want to be known as Kashmiri, not Pakistani, not Indian, purely on the basis of the way I look at it is all the good plazas, all the good malls, all the good schools, all the good universities, hospitals, everything is in Pakistan, not in Kashmir. So truthfully and honestly, even Pakistan haven't really done anything for Kashmir. So why not give us an independent state and let us build Kashmir and make Kashmir into something? Because this is everyone that's living in Kashmir at the moment. The overseas Kashmiris have funded them. The schools, the universities, the colleges, hospitals, everything that's been made in Kashmir has not been made by the government. It's been made by all of those overseas Kashmiris that live here in Luton and around the world that send money there and look after their loved ones.
Do you feel that people from Kashmir are adequately represented in Luton, England? What
Yes,
could be changed?
Definitely. Like I said, Luton is very diverse. There is a lot of different people from different places here. However, Kashmir itself is adequately represented in Luton because if you go into Bury Park, it's mini Quadley. I mean, you go into Bury Park, all the cuisines, the shops, the places to shop from, shall we say, even like the clothes shops, everything has all of the Pakistani heritage here. So the way, not Pakistani, sorry, Kashmiri heritage, I mean the shops itself. So the way I look at it is that Kashmir is adequately represented, but what can be changed is I'd love to see in the future, like with the census forms or with any form, a box there that where I can tick that I am Kashmiri, a British Kashmiri, not a British Pakistani, not a British Indian. I want to be known as a British Kashmiri because that is what my heritage is. That is where my family originated from.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
This interview was so great and it's lovely to meet you. Today we are joined today with Mr. Bassett, who is a Kashmiri lawyer who also has a consultancy with the Overseas Legal Consultant. So Mr. Bassett, I would like to ask you, which part of Kashmir are you from?
I belongs from Kotli, Azad Kashmir.
Back in Kashmir, can you tell us a little bit about your educational background?
Yes, I did my graduation from Punjab University in 77. And then I got an admission in the law, LLB, to do the law degree in SM Law College in Karachi. Then I got the license of being practice in the lower courts in 1982. Then after I migrated here in UK and living in Luton.
Why, in your opinion, why do you think it's important to preserve the Kashmiri heritage?
You can say it's a multi-dimensional question. That one is the politically interference, you can say, from the Pakistani parties, who are doing the all the politics over there with the issues of Pakistan. And that's why the Kashmiri heritage and Kashmir issue is going far behind. You can say the issue of Kashmir is never been highlighted, and the strength of the Kashmiris towards their issues, they are not as forceful as it should be.
Why do you think it's important to keep it alive, though, the heritage?
As I've said before, that the heritage of Kashmir and Kashmir issue is a very, very interconnected, I think, because without if you are going far away from the Kashmiri heritage, then you will go far behind to the Kashmir issues, and I think it's necessary for the Kashmiris to unite without any polarization between the parties which was existing at this time at the Pakistan. And same thing has been carried over there in Kashmir without any reason, without any justification.
You are a British citizen, but do you class yourself as a British Kashmiri or a British Pakistani?
I'm British Kashmiri, yeah. I'm by born I'm a Kashmiri, and with the passage of time, by the legal status, I have opted the British citizenship. So that's why I can say that I am a British Kashmiri.
What are the differences and aims and goals in parties between the Pakistan and the Kashmiri?
Yes, actually, the generally reading of the parties' manifestos of Pakistan, it's looks to be that they wants to make the independent Kashmir, the Kashmir, whatever it may be, it might be Azad Kashmir or whole of the Kashmir, being a province of the Pakistan. It should not be, because Kashmiris are the independent for the so many. You can say, if you read the history of Kashmir, you will find that in thousands of years before, the Kashmir state was independent state, whatever it may be, from the beginning, so many years. So it should not be the proposition of the Kashmir of regarding with the Pakistani parties. They must be stopped from there, and they themselves withdraw from their parties from there. It should be in the favor of Kashmiri, that Kashmiri can then can decide by themselves what they want to do at that time, when after the unification of the Kashmir in both sides of the Kashmir.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Bassett, and coming
Thank
in.
you. It's my pleasure.
It's been an honor asking you questions and you answering them. I've actually learned quite a lot today.
Today we're joined by Zaira. She's the owner of Marina's Beauty Lounge. Thank you, Zaira, for agreeing to take part in our project. Just briefly, we want to hear your perceptions on the Kashmiri heritage and whether it's a lost identity. Can we start off by asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm originally born in Bolton, so I moved to Luton in '82. That is giving my age away here, but I'm self-employed. I'm the owner of Marina's Beauty Lounge. We're an established business. We've been here for the last 15 years. My family background is from Azad Kashmir. My father and my Jaja came over when at the age of 11 and 12. So they were literally left on their own to fend for themselves and get to where they are. But alhamdulillah, yeah.
Okay, since you've lived in Luton, would you say from the time you were growing up, have the demographics of Luton changed?
Of course they have. It's changed a lot. I think we're a lot more open-minded now than as what we were 20 years ago. Things have changed a lot in many ways.
And what have you contributed to as an individual to the society?
In the last 15 years, I'd like to think that I have made a big difference within the community. Being an established owner, having gone through the trials that I have faced in the last 19 years, because my father passed away 19 years ago, I think it's encouraged a lot of younger generation to sort of to have a positive mindset, to put their mind to certain things that nothing is impossible.
Do you identify as Kashmiri or Pakistani?
Kashmiri.
In your views, what is the difference between the two?
To be honest with you, we have a big difference between Pakistani and Kashmiri. I feel the Pakistani people look down on the Kashmiri community. They see a difference there. Sometimes that difference is quite visible because they're quite vocal about it.
And do you feel that people from Kashmir are adequately represented in Luton?
I believe it never used to be before, but things have changed a lot. I think with the younger generation, they see everyone equally. But with the older generation, yes, they did frown on the Kashmiri.
My name is Nadeem from Nadeem Plaza in Luton. I started off with Denby Infants, Denby Juniors, Denby High School, then I went to Luton Sixth Form College, and I just studied up to my A levels, and then I went into business. I was born in Pakistan, Azad Kashmir, Mirpur, yeah. And but I came here when I was 4 years old, and basically I've been here since then. And yeah, we run a number of businesses in Luton. Well, we got a little shopping centre in Nadeem Plaza, which consists of about 18 shops. We got 16 one-bedroom flats, a conference room, a penthouse office with a roof garden restaurant. We do car hire in terms of weddings. So we hire Rolls Royces for weddings and everything. And I own a few restaurants and a shisha bar.
In your view, from the time you were growing up, how have the demographics of Luton changed?
The thing is, since I've been growing up, I seen Bury Park grow up with me. So when I was investing in Bury Park, it was all English area. There was no Asians there, so I had a view that this is going to become an Asian shopping centre, and which it has already. So if you look at Bury Park, it's got different food places, it's got different clothes shops. You know, people from like Bedford, Northampton, London, they all come here to shop. Things have changed. You know, at that time when I was growing up, it wasn't not many Asians in Luton, in Bury Park, and now like. It's full of Asians anyway.
Do you identify yourself as a Kashmiri or a Pakistani?
Very good question. I identify myself as a British Kashmiri, yeah? I mean, I feel offended if someone calls me a British Pakistani because my background is from Kashmir. And if you look at the demographics of Luton as well, 95% of the Asians here are from Kashmir. You know, being identified as, you know, like I'll give you an example. If you go to Pakistan, where are you from? Kashmir. They put you on the side. So it's very important that we get identified from where we are from, where our grandparents originated from, and where our parents originated from.
And what's the difference between the two, if there are any?
There's not much difference. It's just Kashmir is not very recognized. You know, it's a part in Pakistan or part of Pakistan. You know, like for example, I'll give you an example. Like you can't open a McDonald's in there. Why? You know, there's so many businesses. There's so many people that are ready to do business, but it's a disputed territory. So same thing, what the Pakistan side look at is you're from Kashmir, you don't belong anywhere. So, you know, it's a bit heartbreaking.
Do you feel that people from Kashmir are adequately represented in Luton?
I think they're not. I think they should be, because as I said, you know, 90% of the people in Luton are from Kashmir. They're either from Mirpur or Kotli, and they're not very well presented. I mean, you get your part, you know, when there's politics happening in Kashmir, you get people, you know, that stand up for elections and things like that. But I think we should have overseas a seat for Kashmir that is represented in the UK, and then at least there should be some sort of representatives in the UK Parliament as well from Kashmir.
Do you think the next generation will identify themselves as British Kashmiri, or do you think they will say they're Pakistani?
Look, I'm a second generation. I identify myself as a Pakistani Kashmiri, but the new generation, they know the difference between living in Kashmir and look, you know, BBC done a documentary about Kashmir. I was there in Mirpur doing this documentary, and they called it mini Britain. Why? Because 99% of the people that are in the UK are from Kashmir, and we're not very well represented. But I think we should be more represented, and I think seriously there should be something like a representation in the UK Parliament. I'm a British Kashmiri businessman. I'm proud to be a British Kashmiri, and I would, you know, if there's any look, end of the day, Pakistan is my country as well. No disrespect or anything like that, but we are British Kashmiris, which we are part of Pakistan as well. So we have to identify that we get represented very well in the UK.
People might say, well, if you were from Kashmir, you would have a Kashmiri passport. But we have a Pakistani passport that we travel on.
Good question. Because we are part of Pakistan side. So, like for example, the Kashmir that's part of India side, they probably have an Indian passport. So, I mean, I give you an example. Yeah, I was in the Islamabad airport, and the security, when you go inside, they check you, and what they said was, they go, "Where are you from?" Mirpur. Oh my God. He goes, the thing he said to me, I still remember. He goes, if it wasn't for you Kashmiris, we wouldn't have an airport. So you got to remember, most of the business has done in Islamabad, or people are flying out from Kashmir. So if we had an airport in Kashmir, Mirpur, Kotli, there'll be no business for Islamabad airport. So Kashmir is a very important part of Pakistan, and I think Pakistan know that.
So my name's Nadeem Hussain. So I'm Luton born and bred. I've lived in Luton all my life. Both my parents are migrants from Azad Kashmir. So they came here in the 60s, 70s. Firstly, my father, and then secondly, joined by my mother. My father, like many, he worked several jobs, mainly as a machine operator. And at several parts of his life, he did other manual jobs. I remember him having 3 jobs at one point just to make ends meet. Mum's always been a housemaker, and I'm one of 5 siblings. So actually, we grew up in the same area. So I lived on Dalla Road, not far from here, and spent 30 years of my life there. I went to school in Dalla Primary, so infants and juniors, and I remember probably at the age of 6 or 7. So my dad, even though he never had the grasp of English fully, he really valued education, and he sat me and my brother down, and I vividly even remember this to this day, and all he said was, "I just want one of you to become a doctor and the other one to be a solicitor." And from that day onwards, I've always been the type of person that I wanted to please my parents, and I went around as a little 6-year-old telling everyone I want to be a doctor. And I come from a family where people are, at that point were taxi drivers, shop owners, so it was unheard of. And so I would say it, and often people would just kind of take it at face value, and sometimes even laugh. And so I finished Dalla Juniors at the age of 11, and my uncles, who have been kind of a massive support network for not only us, but my father and mum as well, encouraged me and my brother to sit a 11 plus test for a private school in Bedford. And fortunately for me and my older brother, we actually passed and got full scholarships. So I did schooling from the age of 11 till 13 at Bedford Modern School, and at 18 applied for medical school, got in, went to London for 6 years, studied there, came back in 2009, did all my junior doctor training in the Luton and Dunstable, followed by my GP training. I qualified as a GP in 2015, and sadly my father passed away in 2016. So he I hope he was proud, but he got to see my entire journey from, kind of as a 6-year-old to then become a doctor. So now currently I work as a GP in a GP partner in a surgery in Dunstable called Priory Garden Surgery.
Congratulations, and well done for fulfilling your dad's dream. And I'm sure he would have been very proud of you because you kind of saw it through. So that's a huge achievement. And that brings me to my question. Would you say that the new generation will do the same? So if you sat down with your, let's say, offsprings, and you said to them, I want one of you to do medicine and one of you to go into law, do you think that in this day and age they would perhaps respect that and honour it, or have things changed?
I think it's up to the individual. People talk about role models, and actually my father was my absolute role model. Things he did with me, so even the smallest things, I've instilled those with my children. So I sit them down, the way my father was a friend to me, in the same manner I'm a friend to my children. So those things that are important, including heritage, I talk to my children about that. So where not only where my parents were from, but where their parents kind of were from, and their heritage and where they came from, the struggles they had, what we face as children, the little we probably had, and actually valuing that. And in the same way, you know, I talk to them, and I think I'm fortunate that I've got a career where my children actually see, you know, even though they're young, you know, I've got a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old who's almost 6, and an 8-year-old, but they, you know, will know what field I'm in, and they appreciate it. So, you know, I've never said to my children that I would like you to be this, but I've got 3 children who run around and they all say they want to be doctors. I wouldn't actually force them to be anything, but, you know, if they choose to be that, but I think they do listen, and I think it's up to us as parents to teach them the values that we were taught.
Do you identify as a Kashmiri or Pakistani?
I mean, I was thinking about what my identity is, and I think primarily it's as a Muslim, but actually, you know, overall my identity is as a British Kashmiri Muslim. When I was growing up, you know, so we all obviously had a British passport and a Pakistani passport, you know, so we know that Kashmir is occupied lands, and you know, and we're fortunate that it's you know, the Pakistani occupation is a friendly one. But when I was younger, I thought to myself I'd been Pakistani Kashmiri. But as I got older, and in particular when I went to university, I mean, the makeup of Luton is interesting, because the majority of Asians are actually, they may call themselves Pakistani, but they're actually Azad Kashmiri majority. And so when I went to university, I met a lot of mainland Pakistanis where you don't necessarily meet them in Luton, and I saw there was a clear distinction between us. So at that point, I saw myself as being a British Kashmiri.
What's the distinction?
I think it's place. I mean, so you know, I made very good friends with, you know, those individuals that from mainland Pakistan, but they often would say to me that you're not Pakistani, that you're Mirpuri or you're Kashmiri, and you know, so I think I realised at that point that actually, you know, I am Kashmiri. You know, that is my heritage.
And do you feel that people in Kashmir are adequately represented in Luton, England?
I think, you know, in terms of representation, you know, population-wise, you know, it's massive. So, you know, in the 50s, 60s, there was a massive requirement for people to come and work in the industries here. So a lot of people migrated from similar areas in Pakistan, so Azad Kashmir. And so in terms of population, yes, we're represented well, but as you said, you know, are we recognised as Kashmiris by wide majority? And the answer is probably no. But if you were to speak with the majority of us, we would identify ourselves as Kashmiri.
And are you proud to be a Kashmiri?
I am proud. You know, I'm proud in the sense that is where my ancestry is from. That's where my parents came from. You know, it's very, very important to know your roots. And in the same vein, you know, me and my wife have made that decision that, you know, we want our children to know that. And I'm hoping my children do the same.
Today I will be interviewing you and asking you some questions on our project called Kashmir, the Lost Identity. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your profession, your education, educational background, family, etc.
Okay, so my name is Ruxina Jan. I am from Luton. My whole family is from Luton. I was born in Birmingham, but I was raised in Luton. My background, career-wise, is that I'm an advanced nurse practitioner and a prescriber. I work in general practice in a doctor's surgery, currently in Dunstable, but I've done surgeries in Luton and in Dunstable. So just about my background and where I've sort of grew up, I went to local schools in Luton. Primary schools, I went to Dallow Primary School. I went to Denby High School as my senior school. I went to a local college in Luton. And then for my university education, I attended the Luton University, which is now known as Bedfordshire University. So I am an advanced nurse practitioner, as I said, and I work autonomously and run my own clinics. And I very much do like a GP role.
In your view, from the time you were growing up, how have the demographics of Luton changed? And also, what contribution have you as an individual made to society?
This question about the demographics, have I seen them change as I've grown up? I have, in a positive way. So Luton has grown economically. I've seen lots of vast improvements and more career opportunities, more equal opportunities, and also culturally, you know, it is, especially now, there's quite a large Asian and Muslim community in Luton. And over the years, those numbers have increased.
What contribution have you as an individual made to society?
Well, I think for me personally, working in the NHS, working at sort of front line and seeing patients, especially for those that whose English is not their first language, I feel that communication that I've had and I've offered has been quite sort of comforting and reassuring for patients. So they've had that comfort where they've come and seen me with maybe issues, significant medical problems, and I've been able to sort of speak their language and provide them care. And I think that's giving back to the community because I've been raised in a Muslim community. My parents are from Pakistan, so we've always been taught that respect, always respect others and always try to help others. So I feel my role as a nurse practitioner and working sort of in the community in a GP surgery and seeing patients and treating them, that's me giving something back in the community, and that's very rewarding, and I absolutely love what I do.
Do you identify as a Kashmiri or Pakistani?
Because I've been back to Pakistan a few times, I know we're from Kashmir, and I know the difference between Kashmiris and Pakistanis, so I very much classify myself as a Kashmiri and a very proud Kashmiri too.
Okay, in your view, what is the difference between the two? Could you give me some key differences?
I think with the Kashmiris, with the Pakistanis, they are very much already established, and they are, most of them are already sort of recognised in better positions, and the Kashmiris had to work a bit more harder to be recognised, and I think over the years, so they've come from a certain part of Pakistan, and they've sort of, in a way, they had to prove themselves. So the Kashmiri children, the Kashmiri community, they are not part of Pakistan, but you can see that most of Luton are Kashmiris here, and I'm very happy to say that they've actually done really, really well, and the Kashmiri children, the parents, have given their children the opportunity to flourish, do well in education, and most of the children have done very well.
Do you feel that people from Kashmir are adequately represented in Luton/England, and what could be changed?
I think that there's no holdbacks now. Whether you're Kashmiris or whether you're Pakistanis, opportunities are absolutely endless. So nothing's holding them back. And as I've said, because it's such a big community now here locally in Luton, and everyone is inspired by each other, they have done very well. And I think if you look at where they are in positions, where they are in careers, that already speaks volumes.
Profession was retired support worker. I've got a degree in child and adolescent studies. I was born in Yorkshire, and I have 4 grown-up children and 6 grandchildren. We come from Yorkshire. We moved here in the 80s. Luton, when we first moved here in 84. 84, yeah, you were 2. In 1984, there were mostly white people lived here, and there were very few Asian shops. And we actually bought a shop and run it, providing the local Muslims with halal meat. And we, various people within this family, went and got a slaughter license and slaughtered the animals themselves, and making sure the meat was halal according to our religion. I identify as a Pakistani because I was born in Yorkshire. My parents were Muslim from Pakistan, and although I grew up in Yorkshire, I still identify as a Pakistani.